another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk Today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your guest host,
Charles Glidden.
Coming up next, it's Open Line on Talk Today, so pick up the phone and let's chat about what's on your mind. Talk Today, next on Radio Cayman. Stay with me.
Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. I'm Charles Glidden, and thank you for checking in with me. I hope your week is running smoothly as we cross the halfway point here. And we have Valentine's Day coming up on Saturday, guys. Yep. Guys, you did remember that, right? Valentine's Day. You don't want to miss that one. You'll get a lot of demerits if you forget Valentine's Day on Saturday. Got to do something special for her, Got to do something special for her on Saturday night, or maybe all day Saturday, right? Yeah. I've been trying to come up with something a little bit more creative, something different, than the same old kind of Valentine's Day with the chocolates. So I was trying to be creative. Go beyond the dinner thing, something special and romantic. It came on so often when you have things like this, when it comes to something like Valentine's Day. The default thing to do is always, dinner, wine and chocolates, and So I was trying to go beyond that this time, right? Try to impress. Do you have any suggestions for a nice Valentine's Day experience? Come on, ladies, give me some help here. What's your idea of a great Valentine's evening? Give me some ideas. Seriously, ladies, I need your help. So hear me now, ladies, please. What do you suggest for a different, out of the ordinary, creative, enjoyable, and of course romantic Valentine's Day experience right here in Cayman? Call me, text me. I need your suggestions. Yeah. Maybe if I get the right one, maybe I'll get lucky Saturday night. Well, if you're planning on going to Cuba for the weekend, good luck on that one. Do people still actually go to Cuba, like for the weekend? Hey, Susan, I don't know. Is that still a thing? It used to be big years ago. Like, oh, we're going to Cuba, man. Get some cigars. And
I'm not sure, but I think they still go, but maybe not to the
not like how they used to, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that used to be, big thing. Especially a bunch of guides going over there. Well, go to Cuba for the weekend. Think about that twice. If you do have plans to go to Cuba for the weekend for any reason or any other time, as a matter of fact, be sure to check with Cayman Airways to confirm that the flight is in fact operating, that it's still going to be going to Havana. Because if you've been listening to this program, I've talked a lot about the situation in Cuba deteriorating. The conditions keep getting worse and worse, especially after the U.S. military action against Venezuela resulted in Cuba not having an ally to supply them with fuel. So things have really gone downhill. And things have gotten to the point now where Cayman Airways has issued an advisory to passengers traveling to Cuba that there is very much a possibility that Cal might have to cancel its flight to Havana. I think they go one time a week. The Cuban aviation authorities have sent out an advisory notification that jet fuel will not be available at Jose Marti International Airport from 10th of February through the 11th of March. That's like a month. No jet fuel at Jose Marti. So you see how the situation is kind of spiraling downwards, right? And it goes beyond just the jet fuel. There's a shortage of fuel for ground handling equipment and even ground transportation. I was looking at Al Jazeera last night. They had a report, and their reporter was talking to a taxi driver, and the taxi driver said, there's usually a lot of taxis here at the airport, parking lot full of them, but there's like 3 or 4 of us here, and the reason is because the taxis can't get gasoline. So, they just have to come off the road. So the Cuban situation continues to get worse by the day. We've already had 10 Cubans to come ashore in Cayman. They landed in Little Cayman, right? And already there's been some problems. Over the weekend, 2 of them escaped from Fairbanks Detention Center. One of them came back, according to reports. Customs and Border Control has issued a warning that helping irregular migrants, notice they didn't say refugees, it's helping irregular migrants to leave or land is an offense with a maximum penalty of a $50,000 fine or 7 years in jail. So, it's not you can't help them to land, and you can't help them to continue on a journey. And of course, the fear is that many more Cubans or irregular migrants could be on their way, coming to our shores in the near future, causing a major disruption, which we experienced a number of years ago when we had over 1,000 of them. So that's a situation that we will continue to monitor. and I'm sure our government, because they're already making contingency plans, they're monitoring it also. I'm still looking for those Valentine's Day suggestions, ladies. If you don't know the phone numbers to call, you can call me on 1-800-534-8255. That's courtesy of Flo. 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Send a message, give me a call, voice note. What should I do for Valentine's for the lady? Yeah. I have to take a break. I'll be right back after these messages.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Caymanbrack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hey, new drivers, don't just drive, drive smart. Cineco and Inspire Cayman's Safe Driver program will show you how. Get real-life simulator training and classroom sessions to help you gain experience, stay alert, and avoid accidents. Learn to recognize risk, manage fatigue, and make smart choices behind the wheel. Certified participants may even pay less for Cineco motor insurance. Learn more and register at cineco.ky. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
Celebrating 50 years of broadcasting in the Cayman Islands. This is Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Well, got a text message here about something going on at Smith Cove, or Smith's Back-A-Dare, as the purists would call it. That was the original name, Smith's Back-A-Dare. Seems like there's a problem with the benches at Smith's Cove. The different groups, ethnic groups, nationalities, birds of feather flock together. It says that the benches are being moved around and taken to where one group would want to be, where they want to gather. So they take the benches there, and because they're taking the benches for their group, then when other people go there, they can't find a bench. So they were wondering if they couldn't have the benches, cemented in place, that permanently placed benches, so people just can't move them around. And I guess sometimes when we group up like that, you say, "Oh, bring another bench." "Oh, there's one over there. Bring another one. We need we got a big group here." So I don't. Maybe they should be in place, conveniently situated around Smith's Cove. But I guess the message is, stop hogging the benches. Share the benches. Okay. We have two callers, so let's go to the phone lines. Good afternoon. You're on the Ever Talk today.
Hi, Charlo.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Are you talking about Valentine's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
some
you don't have to be fussy about it. Every day is Valentine's. What is my suggestion you could do is clean up the house for her from Friday. Remember, she woman always clean the house on Friday. Clean up the house on Friday. Then you get up and make her a nice breakfast, like our favorite breakfast.
Yeah.
And then if you want to make an early lunch, and then when the sun cool a bit, you can drive her from West Bay to East, and you could go north side and do a little sightseeing, you know?
Stop someplace along the way?
Yes. Yes, you know, and they don't have, you know, it's not about the expense, this and that. It's about the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, and the experience together, right?
Experience of just drive together, have your AC. You could have the windows down, get your fresh air, and do sightseeing, and, you know.
Just enjoy the day together.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
I'll have to take that one under consideration.
Of course. Start clean up the house on Friday. All right, Mr. Charlo.
All right. Okay.
Okay, my dear. Have a good one.
You too. And a happy Valentine.
Bye.
Well, dear, I got another one here on WhatsApp. The reverse Valentines. Instead of giving gifts, you take away something stressful from their life. Handle a chore they hate. Fix something they've been putting off. Give them a no responsibility day. Acts of service hit different. Yeah. We got another caller. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Talk Today.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, man.
Yes, Robert.
I want to say congratulations to the whole Caribbean today, because I know they're having a party because they just beat England, man. And that's a great feeling, you know? To all the cricketers in Cayman Islands, I know we feel good today because it's such a long time we never do that. And it's always good to beat England, man. Trust me.
So,
yeah, man. I was.
You were doing that? You were watching that this morning?
Oh, yeah, man. I don't miss these things, man. You know, right now, I don't know if I could do it again, but I would challenge work again, Chalo. But right now, at my age, I could have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, that's one thing you can't outrun, right? Is age and father time.
Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know if I could handle it again. I got issues, man. I got medical issues. You know what I mean? Even though I'm still on my feet, but I still have medical issues. But anyway, I was hearing something this morning from AI. That Cayman is involved. The name is called about 1,300 times on AI. I don't know what to say because...
On AI, you mean artificial intelligence?
Yeah, with this Jeffrey Epstein file.
Oh!
I don't know what to say because I
you got to bring me up to speed. What was that about?
No, it never went no further than that. You know, I don't follow the AI, but I follow the world news every day.
Yeah.
And I never really hear, not yet, get my name called.
Really, what? But he had some money down here, or what?
Well, you know, Chalo just the world we live in, Chalo, boy, I tell you. I don't know if the world wasn't always this way with these big-time crooks and things like that. And once you got the money, you know, you can exploit anything. So I don't know what to say about that. But it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me because all those years that we've been swapping mosquitoes down here, like Barefoot Man say, you know, all this poverty thing that we come through. Apparently nobody never knew anything about the Cayman Islands, but they know about us today. So.
Oh, yeah.
Anything can go down. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought you might have going to be telling me like some Caymanian names were mentioned in the report or something, but just.
Well, I don't know, Shadow. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me, man. You know.
Well,
It wasn't surprised about, you know.
Seems like everybody's being stained and tainted except one guy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but that guy never does nothing wrong, man. Anyway, later, my boy.
The Teflon Don, right?
Yes, man. Yeah, yeah, man. Anyway, later.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for calling. Yeah, those Epstein files there, in the UK, a lot of things going up in there. A lot of people kind of wondering if their name is going to be coming out of it. Was it the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff? He resigned because he had recommended the guy who's ambassador to the U.S. or something, and oh boy, a lot of people getting tainted by that, and seems like that's not going to go away for quite a while. But yeah, I'll have to check that out, see what the Cayman connection was, the Epstein files. Yesterday we had a very interesting discussion, actually, a very interesting thread going with callers. One of our callers got things opened up talking about food security, food self-sufficiency, and a number of people had some thoughts on that. And the caller at first was asking me what I thought about it, and I said, well, I don't think we could be sufficient because of our limited land space, limited kind of soil. And he was pointing out that there are more modern ways of farming than what people traditionally think of when you say farming. And he was saying how can he mentioned Israel and the Netherlands as far as the progress that they've made and being having food security or food self-sufficiency. And those two terms, people use them interchangeably, but strictly speaking, while they're related, there is a difference. Food security really means that all people have consistent access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, and that is encompassing availability, access, utilization, and stability. Because you're not producing food doesn't mean that you don't have food security. It's more about having access in a supply chain that is consistent, and it's a reliable chain of supply that will always make sure that food is there. So food self-sufficiency really means that a country, a territory can meet the food needs of the people through actual domestic production alone. They don't need to import anything. And there's not a lot of countries that are what you would call 100% self-sufficient when it comes to providing food for its population. Self-sufficiency reduces dependence on imports but does not guarantee security, because you can have the food there, but if it's a situation where the distribution of food is very poor or the production is interrupted by something, that self-sufficiency doesn't mean that everyone has access to the food. Just to break that down a little bit, well, you know what? Before I break that down, let's take the break because it is about 1:45. So let's take our break, and when I come back, I'll continue.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020. This Ash Wednesday, February 18th, celebrate harvesting harmony at the 57th Annual Cayman Islands Agriculture Show from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Food, farming, culture, and community come together at the grounds in Lower Valley. Hosted by the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society and the Ministry of Agriculture. This one-day extravaganza is packed with Caymanian pride, family fun, and great prizes to be won. Don't miss it. Follow Cayman Agriculture on Facebook and Instagram for all of the details.
Sponsored by the Department of Agriculture, Pepsi, Quality Feed, Ale Thompson's, Terra Vegetation and Maintenance, and Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. And I was getting into breaking down, food security and food self-sufficiency. And food security focuses on the ability to access food, whether domestic or imported. It is a broader concept encompassing nutritional quality, stability, and affordability. So you can have food security even if food is imported. Food self-sufficiency focuses purely on supply, the capacity of a nation to feed its population from its own resources, often to manage risk associated with global trade. Interdependence, high self-sufficiency can enhance security by providing a buffer against international market volatility. However, total self-sufficiency can be insufficient or unfeasible for many nations. And here's what when you start talking about food security, in order to have food security, you have to have availability. Physical existence of food, produced locally or imported. Access, economic and physical ability to people to acquire the food. So you have to have the money to buy it, right? You have to be affordable, and they have to be able to reach the food, or the food has to be able to reach them, rather. Utilization, nutritional quality and ability to safely prepare and consume food. Stability, consistency of the above three factors over time, regardless of, for example, severe weather or economic shocks. And you have to be able to get through those things. And the food supply is still reaching the people. So those are some of the things that, when we talk about being self-sufficient or having food security, you don't have to have food security but meaning that we're producing everything ourselves. It's just that access. And I mean, Cayman, since I guess over 100 years, has been importing food, whether it was from Jamaica or Central America or the U.S. We always had some kind of food coming in from someplace. And as far as the little disruption that we, experience with the nor'wester, it's, that might last a couple of days, maybe a week, but, it's not going to be an extended thing like, 2 months of rough weather, right? Let me take a look here. The Netherlands was mentioned yesterday a few times, and they're not fully self-sufficient in food. They use some techniques, and new techniques in farming. They are the world's second largest agricultural exporter by value, while it produces a massive surplus of specific items like tomatoes, potatoes, and dairy. It relies heavily on imports for raw materials, animal feed, and fertilizers. The country produces enough calories to sustain its population, but requires global trade to maintain its current diet and high-intensity agricultural model. And Israel was also touted yesterday for what it has done in agriculture in a very arid environment. They don't have a lot of good soil either, not a lot of water, but they're not self-sufficient in food production. They rely heavily on imports for their food security, particularly grains and oil seeds and meat. And they have highly advanced agricultural technology, irrigation, and they export a lot of citrus, but still they import, 90 to 95 of its grains, and 70 to 90% of its fish, legumes. So even there, where we hear how they have been able to, make the desert flower, I guess you might say, they have to import their food also. And one of the techniques that was brought up yesterday was vertical farming. Apparently there is someone here that is using vertical farming, the technique to produce some kind of food here. Apparently, from what I was reading about it, one of the things that does really well is lettuce. Well, one of the things about vertical farming, it has a high startup cost. It can range from 2,000 pounds to 3,000 pounds per square meter for high-tech systems. That's like 750% more than a traditional glass house. Key expenses include LED lighting, climate control and automation. A 1,000 square foot farm may cost $70,000 to $210,000 to launch. So big expenses to actually start up one of those vertical farms, unless you're going to do it on a very small scale. Then they gave an example here for the 1,000 square foot operation, but if you're look at do-it-yourselfer, just using a plot of land, 128 square feet. Would be around about 7,000 to 9,000 to start up just a very, DIY kind of a project. Well, we got some reaction here to what we were talking about. These, what our caller was saying about Cayman being mentioned in the Epstein files. So I took a Googling. I went Googling off. So what came up here was that based on recent analysis of the documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, which was released up to February this year, the Cayman Islands are mentioned in the context of offshore financial jurisdictions used by the financier. Yes, okay. So I was right. He had money in Cayman. Some of the details, high-frequency mentions the Cayman Islands along with the British Virgin Islands mentioned more than 1,300 times each in the documents. Financial documentation references to the Cayman Islands in the files appear to be linked to routine company administration and offshore business dealings. And it was in the context of the files contained numerous references to Caribbean locations where Epstein held property, such as the U.S. Virgin Islands. The mentions of the Cayman Islands are primarily associated with the financial structure of his business dealings. So it had nothing about, the actual trafficking operation that he's accused of. And I think that's one, maybe people kind of misunderstood that because they got a text here. What about the fact that the Trumps have money hidden in Cayman, and is now the family is facing charges? Didn't quite understand that. I thought all the scrutiny regarding deposits in Cayman would catch those money launderers. Another black eye on the Cayman Islands financial sector. Well, from what we're hearing here, these were all legitimate deposits from, we don't know. These days, you don't put money in the bank in Cayman. You just come off the plane with a suitcase full of money and go in the bank and deposit it. Those days are long, long gone. So I'm sure, there was a lot of know your customer exercises being done with those deposits that we see there were mentioned in the Epstein files. Okay, this text is same person that wrote about Epstein files there, but food security is very important. We should more incentivize Caymanians to return to backyard farming, as well as for those who are interested in commercial farming. I wrote a program called Gray and Green, which highlights the fact that farming has over 35 benefits. This program is geared towards seniors. Okay, that sounds very interesting. Yeah, I know some people who are retired and now they do their little backyard farming. Some of them are even more extensive than just backyard. But yeah, I guess we should be encouraging more people to have their own little garden, and even if it's just tomatoes, grow some tomatoes. It is 1 o'clock, and that means we have to check in with the newsroom.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm April Cummings with your headlines. The Water Authority's lab has renewed its international accreditation with the American Association for Laboratory Accreditation under the ISO IEC 17025 standard. The new accreditation is valid through November 30th, 2027, and comes after a comprehensive on-site review confirming the lab's technical competence and quality systems. In international headlines, the Federal Aviation briefly moved to shut down the airspace around El Paso International Airport, citing special security reasons, warning of a 10-day halt to flights. The FAA later lifted the order, and a Trump administration official has linked the initial closure to concerns about cartel-linked drone activity near the Texas-Mexico border. U.S. stocks are feeling both the upside and downside today of a surprisingly strong report that said the nation's unemployment rate improved last month. After initially rising toward an all-time high, the S&P 500 began flipping between gains and losses. By 12:28 p.m. Eastern Time, it was up 0.2%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 19 points, or less than 0.1%, and the NASDAQ Composite fell 0.1%. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
At HSA, we strive to provide the highest standard of care with compassion, integrity, and dedication. And so we say thank you, Cayman, for continuing to make us the most awarded organization on island by voting us the best of Cayman Islands in 9 medical categories. Your support reminds us why we do what we do, to serve the Cayman community with kindness and excellence. To find out more about our award-winning services, visit hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Esterly Clarence Tibbetts, BEM, 1910 to 1999. Esterly Clarence Tibbetts was born in Kimmerbrook. After working overseas for a number of years, he returned to Grand Cayman, where he married Emma Melba Borden in 1940. In 1949, he joined the civil service as Superintendent of Works at Public Works Department, where he had numerous responsibilities for both Grand Cayman and Kimmerbrook. He played a vital role in the early development of these islands, and many of the roads, buildings, lighthouses, and other works remain in use today, a testament to his hard work. He was awarded the British Empire Medal in 1965 for his long and dedicated service to the people of the Cayman Islands. He retired from the civil service in the mid-1980s. He was also an active member of the community, serving as a charter member of the Rotary Club and as an elder of Emsley Memorial Church.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Tune in Saturday evening at 7 o'clock for a special Valentine's Day Yesteryear musical. Your Yesteryear musical, Saturday evenings at 7 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks. And the wonderful music of yesteryear. From the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear musical, Saturdays at 7 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Be listening. History is always echoing.
The Agriculture Show isn't just for farmers. It's for the whole family. This Ash Wednesday, bring the kids for sing-alongs, inflatables, pony rides, and the Kids Zone. Plus, baby show and petting a zoo. You can even meet puppies at the Humane Society Adoption Booth. Add live music and cultural performances, and you've got a full day of fun for all ages at the Agricultural Grounds.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and let's take a look at the weather. Current temperature is 77 degrees in Georgetown. Wind is at 14.5 knots out of the east-northeast. Relative humidity 70-80%. The forecast calls for partly cloudy skies straight through tonight, and we'll have a overnight low of 73 degrees. Winds are forecast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts coming out of the east, and seas rough with wave heights of 5 to 7 feet. A small craft advisory is in effect, and taking a look at the radar, we see some little clusters of showers to the south of Grand Cayman and out to the west also. That's on the 150-mile range radar. So maybe one of those will brush up against us, but right now, pretty clear. But taking a closer look here, there's some spots of shower over Grand Cayman. And let's see here. I know we've had some talk from time to time about how the banks handle foreclosures in Cayman. People complain even of collusion between real estate agents and the bank, or which evidence on that is not really solid, but we hear people complain about that, about having to try and sell a house because they're behind on their payments, and the house is sold at a low value. Well, the government is putting an amendment bill that will soon be coming to Parliament, and it's aimed at loans that are secured particularly by homes, and that's probably the biggest loan that most of us will ever take out in our entire life, is the loan on a house. And sometimes things don't go the way we planned, and we run into some trouble in being able to continue to pay those payments, which with how interest rates were over the last couple of years, it seems like that payment was going to be increasing every few months, because that's always an interesting thing. You go to the bank, and they say, okay, you make this much, you have these expenses, so you can qualify to pay a loan that will cost you, okay, let's say $2,500 a month. So yes, you can handle that. You get into it, you're paying, then interest rates go up. Now they say, okay, instead of, $2,500, you got to be paying $2,700. And another few months, it's gone up again. Pretty soon it's up to $3,000 now. Now they told you could handle the $2,500, right? Nobody said that you were supposed to be able to handle $3,000, but the loan has increased because interest rates have gone up, and now you find that you can't handle that. And this amendment is supposed to, address some of the things that people have complained about, and one of the things that it's trying to do is to have more clarity, that people understand exactly what it is that they're getting into, and also that the bank starts communicating with you much earlier, as far as like we're reaching, a tipping point here where if something can't be done, we're going to have to perhaps foreclose on your property. We do have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Talk Today.
Good afternoon again, Charles, and good afternoon to the listening public.
Yes.
Back on the topic of food security.
Okay.
Which I strongly advocate for us to be more self-sustainable, meaning grow more of what we can actually grow here.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear you say earlier on that you must have been on the internet, or you must have got some study from somewhere that one of the biggest setbacks with farming could be cost prohibitive. And you were talking about
the vertical
farming, would be buying LED lights and kind of creating a building just for that.
Yeah.
Chalo, we don't have to go to that extreme.
Okay.
Cayman has sunlight pretty much 365 days a year, so we can cut out the LED lighting. We don't need a building. We just need a secure perimeter. Whether you want to build, get a few light posts and cut them off about 10, 12 feet and screen it in with the shade cloth, and have a secure environment where you don't need to use any pesticides or herbicides to poison your food, and the pests would be kept on the outside. We can use
You
drip
can do
irrigation.
that without having some kind of building, like a container or something like that?
You can do that without having some kind of building. The reason why you came across that cost prohibitive measure that was said there at some $700,000 for 1,000 square foot building or something, I think you might have said.
Go ahead and I'll look it up. We'll go back to it.
But because that's a climate control building, so if that need to be like weatherproof, that you can heat it up or cool it down as you so desire, and then it's blocked from the sun, so it has artificial lighting, which then needs to be power generated, whether by solar or whether by CUC. Okay. So all of those costs could be taken out of it because you're not short of sunshine now, right? And then you got vertical farming that can be done more cost effectively like that. Then you have hydroponics as well, which is a very similar type of farming. It's even less expensive theme setup. I think, I'm not saying, or I'm not under the illusion that we can be 100% self-sustainable with every food source that we eat. What I am saying is that we can address most of those food sources, or the types of food that we eat, I should say, and we can cut down on the limit that we have to import. Because I'm telling you straight, I did a lot of research on this. The types of food that we bring in, that's a contributing factor to our health problems here. we getting the export only and the rejected sort of kind of stuff that it may be stamped by USDA, but it's, the measure that's put in is like broadcasting. Then it's like no specific. Unless you're getting whole foods or organic certified foods, you're not getting much quality of food, and we can easily grow those things here. I mean, I see countries of less financial measure or means than the Cayman Islands, countries in Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, you got the Philippines, you got Trinidad. All those places are growing crops in tower systems and hydroponic systems that are developed for tropical regions. So I'm not saying you got to bring some crop here that cannot grow here unless you have a climate control bill. And that way the cost really comes in. So all like things like milk we could produce. People might say, how you can produce milk here? It's a very simple fact. You have milk cows that are bred for the tropics. You have milk goats that are bred for the tropics. What the issue is that DOE has restricted certain types of forages from being imported. So these are forages with high protein contents like the Napier grasses, the Australian red Napier, the super Napier, the Janko, the special K vines. That those things are developed to give cattle, sheep, goat, all those things high protein value. As you know, a milk.
They're all restricted.
They're all restricted.
What's
I'm not sure about the special K vines. I will have to double check that one. But definitely, all the Napier grasses are restricted. We have some here already, but they're not.
So what are they like invasive or something? I mean, what's the reason?
Sometimes people get too emotionally charged and make erratic decisions. They're said to be evasive, but they're not really invasive. They're not going to kill out the natural flora and fauna of any part of our environment. Let me just tell you why.
Okay.
If a farmer has them on their property for the use of producing food for their livestock, the thing is going to go a certain limit and then be harvested. So it's no way it's going to get away and explode in population. That sort of stuff isn't something like the kudzu vine. The kudzu vine, now that's super invasive. That grows like a foot plus a day in certain environments. I'm not speaking of, it's not like that. I'm talking about Napier grasses that you can harvest that every 60 days. So I just show you the value of these things, right? In the Napier grasses, 1 acre of land can sustain throughout the whole year. 1 acre of land can sustain 250 goats or 250 sheep for the entire year. It can also sustain 20 to 25 cows for the entire, just one acre. Right, that's 365 days just eating from that 1 acre. So, because it's a vertical growing plant that takes up air space versus linear space, right? So, but that's with limited land space. We need the faster growing forages and roughages to be able to sustain the livestock. Like I said earlier yesterday, that I can see why the supermarkets are not keen to break their supply chain, and I don't really blame them from that perspective. What I am saying is that if we're importing 100% of our food stock, every year we should be chipping away several percentages on that until we become way more self-sustainable. Because in the event of it, and not just when, it's not if, it's when we have another global catastrophe like COVID, or a war breaks out, or some kind of viruses in the air, whatever it is that would restrict food and food sources from coming to the Cayman Islands, we can be in a very bad shape. And food security does not lie with ensuring a new shipping route or a new vendor. Food security is ensured by self-sustainability. And remember now, our ancestors grew the majority of what they ate back in the day. Of course, they did bring some things that they couldn't produce here, but that wasn't everything. And what they could grow, they ate, right? So, and they were much healthier people. When you say there's some of them grow, I know my grandmother had a cousin that lived to be 107, Aunt Julia. So, you know, and it's men in that era that grew, that lived to be dying at 90, was dying young for some of them. You know, now people are, and they weren't sick a day in their life pretty much because of their foundation in food. You see? So the internet has a lot of things out there, but it does not always apply to the Cayman Islands or our way of life. I think we need to have a broad mind and a broad perspective and gain the knowledge as if you're eating chicken. We eat the meat and discard the bones, and we apply what's applicable to here. Don't try to do what cold countries are doing. We need to utilize the animals and plants and mass produce them that are adaptable and tolerant of this kind of climate and environment.
So tell me something. Do you know of anyone or that's trying to do these types of farming, like the vertical or the hydroponics?
Yeah, I know a young man, a very intelligent young man. I wouldn't call his name, but I know him. He's a neighbor of mine, a very good friend. He is going into hydroponics. He started out small, and he's going into hydroponics at a large scale. I just got off the phone with him, and he's telling me, it's not as cost prohibitive as the internet has it. And then he was saying, if so, third world countries like the Philippines, like some areas of Trinidad, won't be growing the things they do in the mass amounts that they do if it was cost prohibitive, because they don't have the financial means, but yet they are doing this in large volume. So there are people here, but in the Cayman Islands, there are not so many people who are in the entrepreneurial spirit that they would venture out and try new things. But then someone tries it and proves it, then the chain reaction would be like electricity, air body gravitates, copies and carries it on.
I mean, do you do farming?
I do. I raise Angus cattle, and I have an awesome foundation with them. And I'm just going to give an example of just using common sense and a little ingenuity. When I'll take you back to 2003, I wanted to buy some Angus cattle. Angus is some of the very best beef in the world.
Yeah.
You have the Angus, then you have the Japanese Kobe beef there. You have all those good beefs, right? But the Angus cattle had an issue of handling the heat, so they weren't as heat tolerant. So as fate would have it, right? I wound up buying a breeder cow that I wasn't, because I was just getting into cattle then, called the Centerpole. When I did further research on the Centerpole was a dual-purpose animal, meat and milk. So it was developed and bred in St. Croix, and the whole world used them now because of the heat tolerance, the good meat quality, and the ability to produce a fair amount of milk. Right?
That's a good all-around cow.
Good all-around cow. So what I did then, I improved on the beef quality with them, and I started doing artificial insemination on the Centerpole with the Angus. So that made the offspring, the 50-50 offspring, more heat tolerant, more disease resistant, a whole much better cow. And then I went back the third time, and then we bred it back to the Angus again. So my foundation is solid. They eat at any temperature of the day, doesn't matter. They're predominantly black, but they handle the heat perfect. And I felt great on what I'd done, because by me following up the cattle industry, I followed some great Angus breeders, and that's exactly what they do. I didn't know that back in the day when I started to do it, but I thought about it, and I said if I breed a heat tolerant cow to a great beef breed, it actually gives that could not handle heat. It actually gives that beef breed more resilience.
Yeah.
And if I don't kill a cow or two at Christmas, I have a lot of people angry at me that I spoiling their Christmas. So I've built up a good little following, right? But my major problem is I see the way to expand, and not only for me, because if it was only for me, I would keep it to myself alone. I want to see the whole country rise, the whole farming industry rise. I want to see self-sustainability rise. I want true food security. My problem is that, and a lot of farmers are taking it serious, the forages that are worthwhile having to mass produce animals, they are banned. They are banned. I'm hoping that the DOE would give some special conditions to bring in some of these forages to test them and do some pilot projects with them just to prove how they would work here in the Cayman Islands, because it needs to be done. We need to stop with all the little emotional intricacies on putting a log in the wheel of farming. Farmers go through a lot, and if there's someone who is making money out of livestock farming in particular, I would like to talk to that person, because as I see it, there's no one making any profit. I don't think they're even breaking even. They do it for the love of it. It's a labor of love. If you got to buy all the input for your animals, then your overhead is like, way too much. So there's no profit margin to be made there.
Well, do you get any help, any encouragement from the Department of Agriculture?
In all fairness, right, the Department of Agriculture, they bring in a lot of livestock feed, right? They pay an exorbitant price for it, but they give the farmers a break in the price.
Mm-hmm.
But
they subsidize it. The government is subsidizing it.
But hold a minute now. Let's just use a little bit of economics here. When they subsidize the food, right,
mm-hmm.
then everybody pays for that subsidy. Everybody, whether you farm or not, because we're taxed to make that budget be alive and usable, right? So that comes back in the form of tax to everybody. Whereas if we could flip that and we could say, boy, let's try to utilize hay products or forage products that could grow here, at least that would be a greater savings to the country, and it will help into food security versus having to bring everything in that you feed these animals, which are synthetic feeds, which is hays and roughages that are sprayed with herbicides and pesticides and stuff. So if the animal is eating that and you're eating the animal, what do you think will happen? You're ingesting those same things, right? So we got to be smarter and think smarter and harder. We don't need to work harder. We need to work smarter. We need to think harder. Like I said yesterday, if we even got quarter of the true attention to farming in the Cayman Islands as we get in the financial industry, oh man, we would be high on the hog, so to speak. We would really be living a much cleaner, healthier, better life, and you'd be creating another pillar to the economy. Farming could be a viable industry. But as it stands right now, Charlo, I can see why a lot of people are discouraged, because sometimes I get discouraged, but I'm a very strong-headed individual when I believe something, and I look at all avenues to make it work, but I got to get around it, under it, over, or sideways from it. I have to prove that it can work or can't work by making many different approaches from many different angles and ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this could be feasible for the country in a lot of ways. It could be very beneficial to the country in a lot of ways. It just takes. It's like if your baby is crying and you give it a pacifier, it'll stop crying, right? But if your baby's crying and you give it milk, it's not much better. The baby's going to stop crying. You're going to address the issue why it's crying in the first place because it was hungry.
Yeah.
So it's nutritious. Whereas I'm not saying not to give subsidies. What I'm saying is to give pilot projects, grants, and opportunities to take off and make things happen in a more, that could create self-sustainability.
So even though they're trying to say they're helping by subsidizing it, really, you're kind of just spinning your wheels.
You like a dog chasing your tail, because you buy a bag of feed for $20 and you give it to me for $5. Somebody has to pay that shortfall of that $15 extra, right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how it goes.
And then you aren't progressing as a farmer or a cattle herder.
Pardon?
They're subsidizing it, but then at the same time, farming is not progressing. You don't see any expansion of farming in Cayman.
It's not progressing exactly. And just like in the livestock industry alone, right? Some of the supermarkets will placate you and they'll buy some of your livestock when they get in a little bind sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to pay you for what it really values. And here's where a grading system could be put in place where carcasses could be graded and you get premium dollar, because we can grow Akaushi and Wagyu, and Angus is already growing here, and they're the 3 best beef in the world, right? So why can't a local Akaushi or Angus or Wagyu be graded to international standards here? There's no reason why it should, and get premium pricing for it.
Well, brother, I gotta break in because I'm past my break time because you've been talking some very interesting facts here. But call back sometime and we can continue this kind of discussion about farming in Cayman, because we hear so much about it, but it seems it's almost stagnant, right?
Yeah, it is. It could be changed, or it could easily be changed. It just takes a little more ingenuity and political will to see it come true. I don't crying on the present minister anymore. I'm just saying the system needs to change for us to advance. We can't do things, follow models of failed countries, or do things of yesteryear and expect productivity today.
Mm.
We need to utilize the agricultural technology and the sciences that are available. It can be done. And I think food, I'll leave you with this. Food security is everybody's business, because everybody eats. Everybody eats.
Thank you so much for the call.
You're most welcome, Chalo. You all have a good day.
You take care. I'll be right back.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hey, Cayman, we know you love driving, but not sitting in traffic. This Ash Wednesday, skip the bumper to bumper and take the Agriculture Show Park and Ride. Park easy, hop on, and let someone else do the driving straight to the grounds. Shuttles will run continuously from 4 locations all day. Follow Cayman Agriculture on Facebook and Instagram for all the details.
The annual Agriculture Show is hosted by the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society and the Ministry of Agriculture and is sponsored by the Department of Agriculture, Pepsi, Quality Feed, Ale Thompson's, Terra Vegetation and Maintenance, and Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Got a couple of WhatsApp messages here. Jallo, the name is Smith's Back-A-Deer and not Smith's Cove. Please don't perpetuate the new names syndrome, especially as a public radio station. Thanks. Glidden. Yes, Glidden. Got you. Yes, sir. Well, I guess I used that kind of broadcast thing using to make sure that people knew exactly what I was talking about. I said Smith Cove. But I did say it was, that's what, yeah. And I did say that it was originally, Smith's Back-A-Deer. But yes, Smith's Back-A-Deer, not Smith Cove. I like how he said the new names syndrome. I noticed some of the new people will sometimes say stuff like, we're going to the north side. It's not the north side, it's north side. Or, this weekend I went to the East End. No, it's not the East End. That's not like, like the section of London where you go to the East End or the West End. No, it's just East End, right? Let's see what else we got here. Okay, this one was in relation to our last call there about farming. And this one says, Alejandro here, 100% what Mr. Rivers is speaking about. Well, that was quite in-depth discussion, giving me some insight. I hope it gave you some insight, into the farming situation. And I noted what he said, that, and I've heard this before, that, farming in Cayman is, a love of labor, or a labor of love, rather. A labor of love, yeah. And, people who are doing it, they do it because, they just love to do that sort of thing. And they get a lot of satisfaction out of, the cattle that they raise, the crops that they manage to raise, because if you can imagine, sometimes people have to, be inventive and certainly persevere over conditions that, are not necessarily favorable to farming. And maybe we have to expect more from the Department of Agriculture in trying to promote farming better. As the caller was saying, they subsidize the feed and things like that they must have to be able to have cattle. But in the end, somebody's paying for that. And also, even though you're helping the farmer to do that, what is it really doing, or what is being done to, promote farming and to expand farming to a larger scale? Everything, like he said, you raise the cattle and you butcher them, but you still lose money on it. He was saying that anybody that is making money, making a profit, off of raising cattle in Cayman, he would like to talk to them, because it's a losing proposition. Yet people continue to do their farming. They raise cattle, and I guess it's something that people have in their blood, and they're going to do it anyway. Commercial farming in Cayman, again, I guess it is possible from the things that he was saying, if you use science, if you use, modern approaches to farming, that something could be done in Cayman, such as what he was talking about, the grasses, that, because of the quality of the grass, you can feed goats or cows off of smaller areas of that grass than you would if you had, several acres. We do have a caller on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Chalo. Clydas, how are you doing?
All right. Thanks for, pulling me up on the name.
You're most welcome, sir.
You're keeping me straight.
Okay. I just pulled off a road to make one or two comments. The last caller about the agriculture, he's right on. But I mean, we have a food security policy, but a lot of things we're doing.
We have an official food security policy?
There's food security or food, or what did you say just now? Food.
Food self-sufficiency?
Yeah, I think we have a food security policy, if I'm not mistaken. We have some policy relating to being able to feed ourselves at some point in time, 2030 or whatever it is. Anyway,
2030. Wow.
I can't recall the exact time. You see, they have a national energy policy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a food policy.
Okay.
Yeah. You can Google it.
Okay. I'm sure it's on there.
You're not going to find it in Merriam's dictionary, but so what the last caller was talking about, it made a lot of sense and hit the nail on the head in a number of instances. But like what he's saying, how certain things, or maybe how one arm of government, not quite sure what the other arm is doing. We're talking about, okay, you can do a lot of hydroponics and vertical farming and this and that, and you don't really need as much land as you would need, like for cattle rearing.
Mm-hmm.
We had a number of lands zoned agriculture residential, 1 house per acre. What did we do? We left the zoning agriculture residential, but now you can do 3 houses per acre.
Mm.
So how much land does that leave you to do any kind of farming, whether it's vertical or horizontal?
Yeah.
We also find now that a lot of residential development are now moving into what was traditionally agricultural lands. And what they're starting to do, they're complaining about the smell and this and that is associated with those type of activities.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that yesterday. Someone wanted to do a chicken farm or something, and that was the complaint that made planning not approve it.
There we go. But the land is probably zoned agricultural residential. And my little small business, doing some architectural work and this and that. I had 2 clients who they got an enforcement notice because they had these chicken coops in the yard.
Mm.
Now, one was 6x6, a normal chicken coop.
Yeah.
The other was a little larger, but they had to move them.
So now, first complained about this. That's
yeah. I mean,
and now that's Cayman culture.
It's all about fresh food. You can't get fresher eggs than those that are laid locally. So on the one hand, you have this policy that you want to get sort of self-sufficient or whatever, have a certain degree of security by a certain time. But now the things that will enable you to do that, you're working against them.
Yeah, the scarcity of land is really a big factor, it seems. I mean,
yeah, and that's why I keep saying we have to go up. We can't go there anymore. We have to go up. We just don't have the land space to keep buildings, quote unquote, sort of horizontally. And so I'm hoping that the Ministry for Housing will take a real different approach now to where they start providing housing for the less fortunate. Okay, sir.
All right.
Things I just pulled off, so I'll keep listening.
Well, you're setting a very good example. Not on the phone while you're driving. So you're a Class A citizen.
Okay, then. Try and keep you in line and set an example.
All right, Glidden. Thanks for the call, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
We got to take a break. Be right back.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
System 1 noted. For the record, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 9:30, we interview the various government ministers, opposition, and Cayman Island legislators. For the Record is brought to you by West Bay Pharmacy at Centennial Towers. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. Everything you need and the hours you need it at West Bay Pharmacy.
The 8:12 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britke. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first. Celebrating 50 years of broadcasting in the Cayman Islands. This is Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Yes, you can tell us what's on your mind. Give me a call at 1-800-534-8255. That's courtesy of Flo. You can also call on 949-8037, 949-6990, and our WhatsApp number, 925-3261. Call us, drop us a note, whichever you prefer. But give me a call. I'm still waiting for some more Valentine's Day suggestions of what I can do to make, this Valentine's special for me and my lady. I need some ideas. But in the meantime, our last caller there, Glydas touched on something there at the end about, we were talking about this land scarcity is a reality in Cayman as far as, whether it's farming or, housing. And he was saying that he hoped to see like housing, affordable housing that the government would build for people, that we go up instead of building individual houses, and having to use so much land, because you're doing individual single houses, and the cost would be, more bang for the buck if you are going to build apartment buildings, condos, whatever you want to call them, because the number of people that you can house on, 1 acre with an apartment complex is so much more than if, you're going to be building houses on a quarter acre, take it that 0.25 of an acre, that is usually what's considered a house lot in Cayman. And, you're going to only put, say, 4 houses on an acre. You can, build so many more condos or apartments if you go up on that 1 acre rather than go out, because available land, is becoming less and less as time goes on in Cayman, and population now heading up to 100,000 people. The western part of Grand Cayman, you don't see too many empty lots these days. You go into West Bay, that's, become, I guess you might say, a bedroom community? Is that what they call them in the States? Because you see a lot of condos and apartment complexes in West Bay. As a matter of fact, excuse me, I had to drop someone off, and I went into one of those complexes. There's some pretty big apartment complexes in Grand Cayman these days. Previously when you thought of, an apartment complex, it was maybe 50 units or something like that. But, I mean, we've got complexes now that you literally, you drive around. There's like interior roads in the complex, some pretty huge places, and that's an example of, if you're going to build public housing, or we like to call it affordable housing by the government to make housing available to people who might not be able to qualify at the bank or whatever. You're much further ahead and efficient by doing a condo. The kind of design that you do can be quite nice, and we sort of have this thing in Cayman that you might hear a term like every Caymanian should have a house. That's not realistic when you come right down to it. Once you get into a house as opposed to a condo, the whole cost is different, and for the government to take on the project of building a home for everyone who might want one, and work out some kind of financial deal where they're paying minimum amounts of money for this house that the government has built them. You would be much further ahead if you were doing this into a condo style development. That's how I see it anyway. but I know that is as Gladys and I were talking. I think it was a week ago, 2 weeks, about this same thing, and we were saying, that was the Caymanian dream, and perhaps that's exactly what it is a dream that we all should have a house. We can have a home, but it's not necessarily might be a house. And a condo can be quite nice and provide you with a roof over your head, a nice environment to be in. And perhaps you would like to be in an individual house instead of, in a complex where you are living with all these other people. But which is better, to have a condo and a place that you can call home, or not have anything at all? We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
I just heard you say that it would be unrealistic for I would say Cayman to have a home in the Cayman Islands. Hello, Cayman is 22 miles long and 8 miles at its widest. And every Caymanian that has the ambition, that wants a home, and can't get it because of jobs, let's say education, and the cost of the property that they have in on our island for so expensive. These things are what defeating our Caymanians. And for such a small island, every born Caymanian should own a home in this island. And John, to come lately, they will get their own home wherever they're coming from, or they go and pay rent to live here in this island. But for a small island, every Caymanian should own a home. That's all I want to say to you, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.
But does it have to be a house?
Doesn't matter what it is. A home is a home.
Okay.
A home is a home for a Caymanian to live in, that they can pay a mortgage or be mortgage-free. But for such a small island, 22 miles long, 76 square miles, and we must have got over 100,000 people living here, and we are outnumbered. And every Caymanian should own a home in this Cayman Islands for being so small. That's my intake right now, sir.
All right. Good to hear from you again. Been a long time. You haven't called.
It's going to be a little bit longer, too. You take care and have a good one.
All right. You have a good afternoon. But, yeah, I mean, you can have a home. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a single family house, as they would say. A detached house is another term that they use, because a home really is what you make it. If you're in a condo, you can have a very nice home, and of course, the environment that you make of it depends on your ambitions and how you keep your property. So there's really nothing wrong in modern days with people living in a condo as opposed to a single family house. And that's probably is going to, be the way we're going to have to go if we're going to be able to provide housing at an affordable cost to many people, because not everybody's bringing down $300,000 a year, right? Most people are making salaries that are under $100,000, and you have to make do with your means. Well, time has rolled around to 2:00, and that means that we have to check in with the newsroom, see what's making headlines.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm April Cummings with your headlines. A generous local donation is giving residents at Poinciana Rehabilitation Center new hope and hands-on skills after Artisan Metalworks owner Carolee Scoots gifted a full set of professional woodworking tools and 2 new sewing machines to the East End facility's vocational programs. The equipment will support real-world training in woodworking and sewing, with Poinciana leadership calling it a milestone that builds confidence, dignity, and a pathway to life after rehabilitation. In international headlines, in Canada, a mass shooting at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School and a nearby home in rural British Columbia has left at least 9, possibly 10 people dead, including the suspected female shooter, and more than 24 injured in one of the country's worst school attacks in years. Police say the suspect is believed to have died of a self-inflicted wound, while investigators are still working to confirm the identities of victims and determine a motive as this tight-knit community grieves. In Madagascar, powerful cyclone Jizani has slammed into the east coast, killing at least 20 people and destroying much of the port city of Toamasina, with winds reported near 250 kilometers per hour. Disaster officials are reporting widespread flooding, homes collapsed, and tens of thousands of people affected as the weakened storm continues inland and the government appeals for international assistance to cope with the damage. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Let's take a quick look at the weather. It's 76 degrees here in Georgetown with winds out of the east-northeast at almost 8.5 knots. And the forecast calls for partly cloudy skies for the rest of the afternoon and into tonight with winds out of the east at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas are rough with wave heights of 5 to 7 feet. A small craft advisory is in effect. And taking a look at the radar, yes, we see some scattered showers around, and some of them over Grand Cayman, as a matter of fact. And Sister Islands, they're looking clear, but yeah, got some scattered showers over and around Grand Cayman right now. We do have a caller in the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello, you're on the air. Do we have a caller?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Yes, how's it going?
Okay, so far, I just listening in and enjoying the discussion.
Okay, great.
About food security.
Uh-huh.
I was listening to Mr. Rivers, and he made some excellent points. And,
quite insightful.
In order for...
I'd say he was quite insightful. He gave us some insight into that whole farming situation.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have our discussions as well, and we do meet on mutual agreements with some things that farming should be in the Cayman Islands. And you know, I've been thinking about agriculture so long now because I've been doing gardening for over 20 years. You know, with me and my stepfather, and we've been experimenting left, right, and center. I mean, we don't bother asking permission when it comes into farming because when farming comes in, who knows best than the farmer, you know?
So what kind of farming do you do? What do you grow?
Well, I grow mainly herbs and fruits and vegetables. Well, the vegetables I'm actually trying to get into now. And like me and my stepfather was actually discussing about the hydroponics, and we was actually going to do aquaponics because we wanted to be involved with fish as well, being that I have background with aquariums and stuff. And I kind of want it to be a little bit more profitable now because I can't. The aquariums is like a hobby. This is more now for business.
Yeah.
And like what one of your callers said, you know, agriculture is everybody's business. Food security is everybody's business. I think that what we got to do in the Cayman Islands to secure this is we need to start from the youths, because even down to my little daughter, she's only 4 years old, and she knows how to sow a seed and plant her trees. And, you know, I teach her, I make sure that she knows how important it is that you can eat the fruits that you grow.
That's
and the
good,
vegetables that you can, you know.
Yeah.
And they grow interest, and they grow interest way more interested than the adults themselves. And you know what happened is that maybe we can't keep up with the kids, and the schools need to kind of introduce something. I get it that they have it into the science and whatnot, right? But as a boy, as a man now, but when I was a boy going to school, high school especially, you had to pick certain subjects in order for you to continue year 11 and year 12. And home economics was one of them that I would have never picked. And I would say the reason being is because when I was going to school, home economics was more focused on the women taking care of children and how to do certain things at home and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Boys not interested in that. But I was thinking, like, why not introduce the agriculture into home economics, where we could introduce some farmers to get their experience into with the children, knowing that it could be a business in the future for them, you know, because not everybody wants to do agriculture, but we can't use that as an excuse why we shouldn't do it, you know. And
At least expose them to it, you know, because it's just like the other day when I was talking to Glenn and Naga about when children get exposed to music, that they opens up a new world. And if a child is exposed to agriculture, you know, they might say, hey, you know, this is something I like to do this. But if they never are introduced to it, then, you know, they just go on to something else.
One of the electronic stores in town, I was actually just looking for a video game for myself, you know, just trying to treat myself to something good. I don't get to do that too often, but I was looking through the games, and I did see a farming simulator for the PlayStation 5, and I was super surprised that they actually had a farming simulator for the PlayStations. You know, that children are very interested in these gaming systems.
Yeah.
And having something that you could introduce even to the schools, being that, you know, we lack that kind of experience here with some of the families that we have here in the island, that they're more busy working, they don't have time to do these things. And then it's just something that for them, the children, to explore into. And it's just, to me, it takes my interest to make sure that the youth understand what agriculture is all about.
I'm sure a lot of them think that the food just comes at the store. They don't realize that it has to be grown.
Yeah, you know, that's another thing too. When it comes into the importation of foods, right? I was looking at some documentary, like the Dutch farming revolution, and how they secured food security, where they made it that every household had to contribute 50% of their land towards agriculture farming, and something like that. Not to say make it mandatory or anything, but it would be really good that Cayman would adopt something like that, where instead of just producing food for ourselves, we produce food to export as well. You know, so you're producing more, you're overproducing, over farming, so that you can have enough to export. I heard some days ago on your show, we used to export coconuts, but something happened in the Brock that wiped out the coconut.
Yeah, there was a disease.
Right.
Killed off the coconut trees.
Yeah, now to show everybody on this island that is a possibility, because an independent country has to know how to feed itself. It has to know how to feed itself. Without that, then we're constantly going to be starved out by decisions of other countries that do not agree with our sight, our vision. And I think this is one of our problems that we have here in Cayman. A lot of us are afraid to be self-sustainable and independent because we might lose a little bit of the advantage that we got, you know.
So, do you do your farming? That's like a hobby for you right now, as opposed to a business? And you said something about you were thinking about getting into business, right? Commercial farming.
Yeah, and this is the thing now with the hobby. I know of farmers, right? I know of farmers that was in for business, right? Mm-hmm. And then just for some simple little reasons that maybe was discouraging for them to continue doing for a business, but they just love it so much that they just continue it for a hobby, continue farming for a hobby. So it's just something that it definitely, once you start it, it captures your heart. I know that. I've been through that. Yes. And not everybody is built to do those things. You know, they have some people that are so posh that they think that their ideas are ideal. And then yet you have people like me and others that are like me that love to get our hands dirty. And we can be posh too, you know, don't get me wrong. We can be very posh. I got times where I love to dress up and things like this, and I don't want to touch certain things because I might get dirty. But that's not entirely how we live. Here in Cayman, we take... almost all of my family members that I know that are Caymanians here in Cayman have some experience with agriculture somewhere down the line, whether it's chickens, growing peppers, growing their oregano, or whatever it is, fever grass, they do it. And that's the thing that we should be focusing on here. Food security is land security. That's just my point of view. Food security is land security because you cannot grow food without land.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember growing up in Cayman, my grandfather, my papa, you know, had a pretty big grounds behind his house. You know, and he grew cassava, pumpkins, yams, tomatoes, you know, and he could pretty much feed himself when it came to those kind of things, you know. And that was a common thing that, you know, everybody had their little ground, right? Mm-hmm. So
yep,
it can be done even in modern times if you have the land.
Yes, definitely. And you don't need so much land either. You know, like what Mr. Rivers was talking about yesterday, I heard with the vertical farming. Oh my goodness, sir, I've witnessed some of these vertical farms. I would have never thought that it would have been this possible
to use such little land to produce so much food. I've always
This is here in
looked at it
Cayman
like
that you
how
saw
I
them?
was.
You witnessed them
Huh?
here in Cayman? You saw this in Cayman?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's really cool. It's really cool because they have some farmers. They mightn't have the business going right now, but like they're out there doing their plantations and they're growing food upwards vertically. Yeah. They're growing their plants vertically, and this is not rocket science. I mean, it's just we need the ideas. Like we live on a little island. We live on a small island where if a person brings a book to me, for example, I'll cherish that book because I can't go anywhere and find that book because that book came from so place. And when I read these books almost are like as if they are made for Cayman because just on the Sunday going to East End, I was carrying my aunts around to go and look for some pigs, and my grandaunt in the back seat is reading my economics book, and she's like, well, this book must be for Cayman because everything is about fish. They're selling fish. And I'm like, well, they put it in the simplest form for the average person to understand.
Right.
And that's how we should be teaching people here in Cayman instead of using these all technical words because they all fancy dance, all the English love listening to the fancy words. We don't understand 100% of what they're saying. So we need to talk in our language, layman's terms. It's just sometimes it gets frustrating trying to explain something that is just so simple because there's people that refuse to acknowledge it. Cognitive dissonance.
Well, listen, I got to break in on you because we got to get some commercials in here. But thank you for calling. Always nice to hear from you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon. I'll be right back.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hey, this is Matthew Leslie, and I want to wish Radio Cayman the happiest of anniversaries. 50 years. What a milestone. Oh, so much memories of Radio Cayman, but one of my favorite was growing up with my great-grandmother in her house on the weekends and listening to the Country Countdown. That was one of those memories that always stays with me as a child, and it was made possible by Radio Cayman, keeping it on the airwaves. Thank you so much, and happy anniversary.
The Ring of Fire.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Got some WhatsApp messages here, and let me get those in before we get too late in the program. Good afternoon. With the cost of land and construction prices, it has become very difficult for the lower income person to own a home. Multifamily is becoming more and more the only probability. However, many changes will be required at our planning department, which is yet miles away from catering to single multifamily living at a real affordable cost. And let's say we have another one here. Good afternoon, Mr. Glidden. You make a good point in some Caymanians opting to go for maybe a condo or co-op apartment. If we all own homes, who stays in them after we pass on? most children don't want to live in the same house we grow up in as kids, and so these homes will have to be sold to strangers because the kids, they have their own mortgages, expenses, and can't afford to fix up their parents' home to their likings of the day. So, two opinions there about housing options, or the lack thereof, in Cayman. And I want to go back to, I'd mentioned this earlier in the program, that the government was bringing a new amendment to, was it the Registered Land Act, as far as how the banks deal with foreclosures. And this is now in its final round of public consultation before being brought to Parliament. So you can, get your input in for things that you think needs to be changed as far as how the banks go about foreclosing on a person's home. Contact your MP, the minister, the Honorable J.E. Banks, or the ministry, and it's a heck of a name for this ministry, the Ministry of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing, and Infrastructure. That's who that amendment is going to be coming under. So you can make your thoughts on that be known, and your MP, is probably right there that you can make your thoughts known to your MP. But let's take a look at some of the things here. The minister, the Honorable J.E. Banks, was saying that the changes are about clarity and fairness. They help ensure people understand what they are agreeing to, encourage earlier conversations when challenges arise, and set out clearer processes where action is required. This is about improving transparency while maintaining confidence in Cayman's land and financial schemes. And among other things, the bill will introduce clearer notice requirements. Notices that the bank notifying you of you're approaching the point where you're not going to be able to maintain this loan, and they're going to do something. The bill requires that lenders and borrowers engage earlier and more constructively when repayment challenges arise. It updates provisions relating to insurance, leasing, redemption rights, and the powers of sale, and more clearly defines processes for the sale of property where enforcement is required, including the use of recognized multiple listing systems supported by independent valuations. Because that's been a sore point at many times when we hear about someone being foreclosed, that the house or property is being sold below its true value just to cover the loan, and then nothing is left over as far as the person getting a few bucks after the loan is satisfied. So they want the valuation and supported by independent valuations. So if that is something you are concerned about, and I guess anyone who has a loan, a mortgage, I should say, with a bank, should be concerned about what the bank can do in the case where you run into financial difficulties and you're going through a rough patch, and you're having trouble meeting your monthly payments to the bank, because the bank should be able to just come and say, okay, pay this off in a month or next week or whatever, or else we're going to start the proceedings to foreclose. And also, so many times people enter into things, and the legalese that you run into in these documents can make your head spin. There's hair width and so forth, and you don't know exactly what it is that the agreement is actually saying. And sometimes people just aren't aware of the terms. It's like how everybody learned a lesson. I would say back, remember in Ivan, when for the first time we were hearing that, oh, you're underinsured. Not too many people were aware of that term, much less understanding what it meant. But a lot of people discovered during that time that they had underinsured the property, so what the insurance was going to pay as their share of it was not going to meet, maybe not even what you owed the bank. Or people had insured it for what they owed the bank, but it's a shared cost there. They're only going to pay a certain amount if you are not insuring the property for, 85-90%. You got to the insurance has to be the value 85-90% of what the valuation is for them to pick up the whole bill, right? And some people would just insure it for what they owed the bank, and that's not going to cover it if you get a complete destruction of a house. And it's the same way people enter into a loan with a bank, and lots of times they're just so happy that they're able to get a mortgage, get themselves a little house, and have something that they can call their own house that they can enjoy, that they don't have to ask somebody if they can paint the place a certain color, or if they can make a little change here or there, put up a picture on the wall. They're just so happy to have their own place that they really aren't concerned about all the legal terms and what they're committing themselves to and what the bank can do if you run into a rough spot and having trouble for a few months meeting your obligations to the bank. They just simply aren't up to speed because the bank never took the time to really sit down and explain that this can happen if you don't do this. You'll have 30 days, 90 days of grace or, time to try and rectify the late payments. Nobody really explained that, and they're just happy that they can have a home, and then something happens, and surprise, you're facing foreclosure. So that's what this amendment is trying to address here. And again, if you have things that you think should be changed in the way a bank goes about foreclosing on a person's property, let your thoughts be known. Contact your MP, the Minister, the Honorable J.E. Banks, or the Planning Ministry. Well, that's it for me today. It's coming up on 2:30 here, so I have to make my exit. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and thank you to all the callers who contributed this afternoon. And it looks like I only got one suggestion, right, for the Valentine's Day. But that looks like we're going to on a drive. And I'll make you breakfast? Okay. I'm Charles Glidden. One love.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.